Alright, so like I said, this is the third method. You can use whichever you like best, okay? Because this has a lot of steps. Alright, the first step is that you cannot have it in standard form. You got to have the variables on one side and the constant, which is c, on the other side. So in here it's quite the opposite, and I need to move that negative 15 to the other side, okay? When I move it to the other side, it becomes x squared minus 2x equals 15, right? All right, then I have to know what number to add so that I can have my c. So in order to do that, in order to add my c, my constant value, I'm going to have to do b divided by 2, and then I'm going to square that number. What is b? Negative 2. No, not 2x, just negative 2. What's negative 2 divided by 2? Negative 1. And negative 1 squared would equal 1. So this is the number that I'm adding. And then this number, I'm going to use it for something else. And you will see in a second. Oh, what the heck? Alright, so this is the number that I add in. And if I add it to one side, I'm going to have to add it to the other side. So this becomes x squared minus 2x plus 1. And then 15 plus 1, which is 16, right? Now this becomes a perfect trinomial, a trinomial with perfect squares. What does that mean? That I can factor this with the same parentheses. How do I factor this? No. The 16. How do I factor that? Stop looking at the 16. How do I factor this right here? So x minus 1 and x minus 1, correct? That negative 1 is right there. So this becomes x minus 1 squared, and that's equals 16. Why do I put it with a square? Because I have two of them. All right, now I need to apply square root because it's perfect squares. It's completing the squares with a perfect square. So for every 2, 1 comes out, right? So I have 2 of those parentheses, so in reality, 1 come out. Now what's the square root of 16? But that 4 could be positive or negative, because negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16 as well as positive 4 times positive 4. So what becomes over here? Then you have one problem that has a 4, but then you have another problem that has a minus 4. Yay? All right, so now we're going to add 1 to both sides, right? And x equals 5. And I'm going to add 1 to both sides, and x equals negative 3. Negative 3. Yay? Yes? Now, what were the factors of this? X minus 5 and x plus 3, right? If I do the box for this, what do I get? Do the box and tell me what you get. So this was x squared, 3x, minus 5x, and minus 15, right? So from here I get x squared minus 2x minus 15. Now, what happens if I solve this by factoring? Isn't that 15 when I move it to the other side of minus 15? Don't you got everything that over here? If I move that 15 to the other side, and if I want to solve it by factoring, I should have a negative 15, right? There you go. So my solutions would be x plus 5 and x minus 3. A lot of students don't like this method, and to tell the truth, it's not my favorite because I got to remember so many steps. But I will give you a cheat sheet tomorrow that has all these steps in them, okay? But again, I got to teach you how to do it. All right? So that was number 1. Let's do number 2. All right, this one, we're good. Is already to the other side, right? So I just got to find the constant that I'm going to have to add to both sides, right? So to find the constant is b divided by 2 squared. What's b? 2. I'm doing number 2, not number 3. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 1 square is 1. So that's your c. That's the number that you're going to add to both sides. Yay? So again, this is the number that you're going to add. That's the number that you're going to use to factor. Right? Wasn't this the number that I used to factor? Minus 1 minus 1? Yes? All right. So then this becomes x squared plus 2x plus 1, and then 35 plus 1. This is x plus 1 squared. I use that number to factor. Yay? And 35 plus 1 equals 36. Square root on both sides. For every 2, 1 comes out. Oh, not 36, but what? 6. Thank you. So it's plus minus 6. Alright, so now I have x plus 1 equals 6, or x plus 1 equals negative 6. And I'm going to take away 1 on both sides. Six and negative 1 would be 5. Negative 6 and negative 1 would be negative 7, right? Yes? Now, if I want to do this by factoring, I should move that 35 to the other side and it becomes a minus 35, right? What are the factors of this? X minus 5 and x plus 7, right? Negative 5 times 7, negative 35. Negative 5 plus 7, 2. So that's how I know that I did it correctly. Yay? All right, this was number 2. We're going to skip. We're going to go all the way to 7. We're not doing those. So let's go to 7. I better not have a mess in my buckets. All right, we got to move that negative 8, right? So x squared plus 2x equals 8. Yay? Now find your constant, which is your b. All right, 2 divided by 2 would be 1. And 1 square is 1. So this is the number you're going to add. That's the number you're going to factor with. Yay? All right, so x squared plus 2x plus 1 and 8 plus 1. This is x plus 1 squared. That's the number you're going to use to factor. Are you with me? And then 8 plus 1 equals 9. Okay? And now we're going to go ahead and square root, right? For every 2, 1 comes out. What's the square root of 9? So you have one with a positive 3 and one with a negative 3. With me? Minus 1. X equals 2. Minus 1. X equals negative 4. All right, so I'm going to double check just to make sure that this is correct. Okay? So what were my factors in here? X minus 2 and x plus 4, right? When you do this by factoring, oh, there it is. It's already equal to 0. All right. Negative 2 times 4, is that negative 8? And negative 2 plus 4, is that positive 2? There you go. You got it right. So it takes only a hot minute to check if you've done it right or Wrong. Now, if I have something like this, I will definitely factor instead of doing all of this, right? Yay? Now, some people like this because it's easier for them, but if you don't, if you like factoring, I'm in love with factoring, so that's usually what I do. But only because I'm really good at it. If it's hard, then no, don't do it. All right, let's do number 8. It's already the way that I want to, right? Yay? All right, so this would be, I need to find B. I'm sorry, I need to find C, right? What I'm going to add? B is negative 7. All right, so that would be 49 over 4, right? This is the number that I'm going to add. That's the number that I'm going to use to factor. Yay? All right, so then this becomes x squared minus 7x plus 49 over 4. And then 18 plus 49 over 4. That's what I'm going to use to add. Now this is what I'm going to factor with. X minus 7 halves squared. And then you can do this in the calculator. Tell me how much that is. Alright, if you cannot find it, go and see if you can find it. I don't understand why you don't have that packet because we've been working with it for like at least a week. Because you just missed 4 problems. Let's go. Get another copy. Alright, what is this right here? (121 over 4). Alright. Now I'm going to do square roots. For every 2, 1 comes out. And then what's the square root of 121 over 4? (11 halves). Square root of 121 is 11. Square root of 4 is 2. But you got to have one positive and one negative, right? All right, so plus 7 halves What's 11 half plus 7 halves? So 18 divided by 2. We should know how to add fractions. 11 plus 7 is just 18 and you keep the 2, correct? Negative 11 halves plus 7 halves. Negative 4 halves, which would be negative 2. Alright, what were the factors of this? Minus 9 and x plus 2. Alright, when you move that to the other side, it becomes a negative 18, right? Alright, so when I multiply those two, that's most definitely negative 18. And when I take away those two, that's most definitely negative 7. So we've done it correctly. It takes you a second to figure out if you've done it right or not. So if you're getting them wrong, it's because you're not checking. Alright, let's go to the next one. Pay the one that's after that. Let me see. Oh, no, I need that. This is on the back, correct? Yay? It's on the other one? Okay, it's not exactly on the back then? No? It's okay, we can go back to that one. Alright, so we gotta figure out, study whether each trinomial is a perfect squared. So if it's a perfect squared, you can do this, right? If it's a perfect square, you can do that. Same parentheses twice, right? So what I would do is I would figure out how this factors. How does x squared plus 8x plus 7 factors? X plus 7 and x plus 1. Is that a perfect square? No. All right, what about this one? Why does it factor? Plus 4? Really? It's because when you add a plus and a minus, you're going to get a negative 8. Right? How does it factor? Okay, can you please look in your cheat sheet, in your index card, because you're telling me plus and this is not plus. Thank you. We can't even look at that darn index card and figure out that it's not plus. We can't. X minus 4 what? Thank you, because it's the same twice. Negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16, and negative 4 plus negative 4 is negative 8. What about that next one? So this is a yes, right? What about that next one? I cannot believe that you guys cannot do this really quick. Is that a yes or a no? That's a no. Alright, what about the next one? X plus 9? Thank you. Is that a yes or a no? That's a no. Alright, what about this one? X plus 5? X plus 5. So this would be a yes, right? Because I was really supposed to write it like this, right? With a squared. Alright, so that's a yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, 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 it is a negative. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because that's the only way you're going to get that negative in the middle, right? Yes, sorry. So these are all negatives. Thank you. Alright, what about that next one? If you can't figure out, try to find a pattern with the other two that I have highlighted that are already yeses. You really only have to take a look at one number to figure out if they're perfect squares. Don't try to factor. Stop looking at that darn calculator and please follow instructions. If I'm telling you to try to find a pattern over here and a pattern over here, is because you don't have to do any math. You don't. So look at the difference between those yeses and those nos. Dora. No, well, yeah, the other one, no, they're not, no, that's not it, because those are plus plus and those are minus minus. Hmm? No. Evelyn, I can't hear you. What do you mean they're not divided? I don't understand what that means. So what? You're on the right track. So tell me. And you said the right words. So what do you mean they don't have a square root for it? Very good, Evelyn. You're looking very good. You're thinking outside the box. Thank you very much. So she says the other ones don't have a square root for it. What does that mean? So 27 is not a perfect square root. Is that what you're saying? You don't have the same number that you can multiply by itself twice and gives you 27. So what is the difference between that 27 and that 16 and that's 25? So to figure out if these are perfect squares, all you're looking is at your C. And if it's a perfect square, then yes, it is a perfect, thank you. So what is the perfect square root of 169? And what is the perfect square root of 4? You only need to take a look at C to figure this one out. Chris needs to get up. Thank you. 13 and? 13 and what? Very good. So that would be 13 halves and 13 halves. So the correct answer is? Very good. So that would be a yes. So all you need to do is take a look at that C to figure it out. That's all. If it's a perfect square, then yes, give your family 300 points. That was pretty good. Thank you very much, Evelyn. All right. So in here, find the value of C. How can I figure out the value that I'm going to add? We did it on the other worksheet. Thank you. B divided by 2, and then that's squared, right? So all you got to do to find C is this right here. All right, so that would be 8 divided by 2. That's 4. 4 squared would be 16. So there's my C. Negative 6 divided by 2 square, that's negative 3 square. So what's my C? 9. Negative 7 divided by 2 squared. So what's my C? 49 over 7 times 7? 2 times 2? Okay, why is that so hard? All right. Let's go ahead and complete the squares again. All right, these are obviously not perfect because 3 doesn't have a perfect square root. This one, if I put a 2 over there on the other side, that doesn't have a perfect square root. If I put the 5 over there, that's going to be minus 15, and that doesn't have a perfect square root. And, ooh, this one might, right? Because that's a 25. All right. So I'm going to go to 1, and I'm going to go to 13 because I don't want to do all of them. So the first step for number 10 would be to take that 3 to the other side, right? So x squared plus 4x equals negative 3. And now I got to find my C. Okay? So that would be 4 divided by 2, which is 2, and then that squared. Remember, that's what I'm adding. That's what I'm factoring with. Yay? All right. So this would be x squared plus 4x plus 4 and negative 3 plus 4. And actually, you can do a lot of this in your head, right? All right, so this is x plus 2 squared, and that would be 1. Yes? And now I got to do square root. So for every 2, 1 comes out. X plus 2 equals 1, but x plus 2 also equals negative 1. And then I'm going to do minus 2. X equals negative 1. X equals negative 3. What were my factors? X plus 1 and x plus 3. 1 times 3 is 3, and 1 plus 3 is 4. So we're good to go. Yay? All right, let's do 13. All right, move that 25. All right. The other step that we haven't seen so far is that the number with the quadratic term has to always be 1 in order for completing the squares to work. So that means that in order for me to get rid of that 4, I have to divide by 4. Okay? So that becomes x squared minus 5x. And then I'm not even going to mess with that. I'm not messing with that, because this is a decimal. And then I notice that 25 is a perfect square root and 4 is also a perfect square root. So I'm thinking I'm on the right track because I got perfect squares, you know? That's how you know that you're going on the right track. As long as you keep getting perfect squares. I'm going to take away points every time somebody's not paying attention out of your family. All right, so let's go ahead and do b divided by 2 squared. All right. All right, b is negative 5 squared, right? Negative 5 times negative 5 is positive 25. And 2 times 2 would be 4. And that's beautiful because look at that. When I add and when I subtract, it's going to be really easy to do, right? Remember, this is the number that you add. And that's the number in the parentheses that you factor with, right? That's the number that you factor with. It's very convenient in here not to miss any steps, even though you could probably do this in your head and find out the 25 over the 4. But then you miss that step and you go like, oh, what do I factor with? Well, it's right there if you do it step by step, okay? So then this would be x squared minus 5x plus 25 over 4. And then when I add those two, what happens? That's 0, right? And then I factor with what number? That one right there. So this becomes x minus 5/2 squared. Then I'm going to do the square root, right? Yay? With me? So x minus 5 squared equals 0. Now the 0 cannot be positive or negative, so this one only has one x-intercept. Which one is it? 5/2. Thank you for whoever said it. This one only touches the x-axis once. And we've seen those where it only touches 1. It doesn't touch the x twice. Okay? Yeah. The parabola usually touches that x, right? It usually has 2 zeros, but this one only has 1. All right. Close your eyes and give me a number 1 through 4. Close your eyes. Give me a number 1 through 4. All right, I see 3s and 4s, so we're good to go. All right, let's go to the back of that. What do we got on the back of that one? The little guy? The little funky guy? Looks like rotten cheese. All right, you left a mess over there. Can you fix my boxes? Make sure they're by group. Because I have them by group. The first one is B1, the second one is B2, the third one is B3. And that folder needs to go all the way in. Alright. So in this one, we're going to figure out what's the term that I need to add. So to figure out that term, all I have to do is b divided by 2 and then that squared. 100. Thank you. She found Bella. She found Bella. Thank you. She found Bella. Yeah, well, how could you forget about Bella? All right. Let's go. How could you forget about Bella? I can't believe you guys forget about Bella. She's not going to fail. She's going to hit Chris, and Chris deserves a good slap, so it's okay. Yep, to wake him up. You got that right, Orlando. All right, let's go. All right, so it's going to be 32 divided by 2. 32 divided by 2 is 16, and then 16 squared. And you have cheat sheets with all those numbers, and you don't need to do the calculator. You just look at that cheat sheet that you have your perfect squares. I think it's 100 and 256. All right, talk to me how would I, I'm going to put x's, but they're t's, right? How would I factor it? How would I factor that? Oh my God, how would I factor that? X plus what? What? 16. That's the number, correct? Okay, we just went through this, guys. Come on. All right, next one. 10 divided by 2. And then 5 squared. 25. How would I factor it? X plus 5 squared. Very good. 4 divided by 2. 2 squared. 4. 20 divided by 2. 10 squared. Say it. 12 divided by 2. Do I really need to keep writing this? Oh my God. 36. 22 divided by 2. 11 squared. 26 divided by 2. 13 squared. If you have your cheat sheet in front of you, you shouldn't even be thinking about it. It just comes out. Yep. 30 divided by 2. 15. 15 squared. Look at your cheat sheet. You're not looking at your cheat sheet, so there's nothing I can do. If you don't care, I cannot teach you to care. That's the one thing that I cannot teach you. To care. 2 divided by 1. I'm sorry. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 1 squared is 1. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4 squared. All right, let's see how do you factor. How do you factor that one? It's not 4. 2. Do the square root of that number. Thank you very much. X plus 2 squared. What about this one? X plus 10. Do the square root of 100. X plus 6. X plus what? 11. X plus 13. Next one. Plus 15. Very good. Next one. X plus 1. Just do the darn square root of that last number. That's all. What's the square root? There you go. And these ones are all pluses because it's plus plus, right? Okay? Are we good? Alrighty. Alright, what's on the back of this? Of these? No, what's on the back of these? I'm sorry. What's on the back of these? No, not that. I'm sorry. What's on the back of this? Let's get it right, Miss Marie. What's on the back of this? Alright. Alright. Hold on, because we're not going to do all of them. Let's do 11 and 12. I don't want to do when they are not perfect squares, because it's a pain in the hiney. Alright, let's do 11 and 12. Yeah, you know what? Why don't you guys try it on your own? 11 and 12, go. 11 and 12, go. And you have your answers over here in the back, right at the bottom, so you can double check your work. Double check it, not copy it. Double check it. Yeah, the answers are right here. But I only want to do the ones that are like that. See, that's why we only did 1 and 2. See how they're perfect? You see how those numbers are just whole numbers? That's what I want. Okay, so 11 and 12. You can do it as a group. Or not dealing with him. Because that shows you not paying attention to what you're doing. That is all.